to Drummers Only Radio. Drummers Only is the UK's leading drum shop with store locations in Glasgow and Leeds. Our podcasts are full of interviews, gear reviews, and much more from the unique perspective of a drum shop. The show is hosted by two pasty Scottish dudes who talk real fast. Whoa, slow down there, Braveheart. So here's Chris, the Glasgow shop manager, and Adam, the social media manager. Be sure to like, subscribe, and let's do this.
Good evening.
Good evening, Christopher.
How are you?
I'm well. Feels weird sitting right beside you.
It does feel weird sitting side by side, but there's a good reason.
There is a good reason. What's the good reason?
It's our social distance podcast.
Oh, yes. We have the wonderful Mr. John Blease on the podcast today.
Yes, we do. John is a fellow Ayrshire man like me.
Yes, an Ayrshire.
An Ayrshire, yes, the Ayrshire, who has quite an awesome storied career. So we won't waste too much time talking about that. We'll just let him do it.
Yeah, of course. So here's the one and only John Blease.
Hello.
Hi, Christopher.
Drummers Only Radio episode 34.
34? Are we at 34 already?
We are at 34 already.
Wow.
We have the distinct pleasure of welcoming Mr. John Blease.
How are you, sir?
Hello, guys.
How you
nice
doing?
to be here. I'm doing good, thank you. Yeah.
Good. John, like myself, is a fellow Ayrshire man. Ayrshire is has got a knack for producing wonderful drumming talent, and John is no exception. Tell us about who you are, man, because there may be people that are listening that haven't met you before. So.
Yeah, if you could give us a bit of background, about what you've got going on, how you started, and all the things you've kind of done up until this point.
Okay, I'll try and do that.
No pressure.
So as you say, Chris, I grew up in Ayrshire in a place called Prestwick, and got into drumming when I was about 13. 14, I think, about 13, and basically that's all I've done since. I could leave it there.
Good man. Full stop.
No, I know that's not giving anything away, is it? Like a lot of people, but it started when I was about 13 in school. I was very lucky to go to a school called Prestwick Academy. It's just the school there, had a very strong music department. We had a big band and orchestra and stuff, and the guy, Mr. Wilson, Colin Wilson, he, really encouraged music. And from that point, that led, without going into it in massive depth, then I just got really into playing. Started playing in pubs and stuff up in Glasgow, like we were saying a minute ago. And Ceilidh bands, played in a lot of Ceilidh bands.
Okay, cool.
And got really into jazz. And then that led me to moving to London when I was 17 to study jazz for 4 years. Jazz music, about music,
Yeah.
Where was it you studied?
And I studied at the Royal Academy of Music. I'll have you know. So I went there to do that, basically. I moved there to do that, and then I have been there ever since. And so that's been 20 years I've been in London now.
20 years, wow.
Yeah, and over that time I've played with a variety of people in different genres and things like that, and I just I still really enjoy it.
Great.
Good.
Yeah. Great.
Wow. I think you're selling yourself a bit short there, man. Just a variety of people. You've played with so many cool, amazing people, man. That's so amazing.
You.
Robert Plant, Seal, like wow.
Yeah, they're no slouches in the music world, man.
I know.
I think between those two guys, between them, have achieved more than most will ever with a career.
Well,
so
yeah, there's plenty. Yeah,
I love the thought of just a normal fella from a small town, kind of unassuming, welcoming, warm guy playing on some of the biggest stages with some of the biggest artists in the world. Like. There must be quite a bag of tricks and skill set to learn to get to be able to do these kind of gigs, man. Would you say, or was it? How did it happen for you? Was it organic, or was it?
I don't know. I mean, thanks for your kind words. It's that's really kind of you. But really, it's just music. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah. Obviously, it's not. I did work very, very hard.
Yeah.
And I still work very hard. So I think I take that a bit for granted. You know, it's like I really live music. You know, so. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, it's just putting the sticks in your hands and.
Well, no, we talked about this in a podcast before about just play the drums. You know, there's a simplicity to that kind of idea of just sit down and do it.
I guess we're trying to get a bit more detail out of this interview. So I guess it's how do you get into it? I mean,
because you've got like the artists you've played with covered like all the bases, man. Like Goldie, people like that. You know. You've played on a lot of electronic stuff. You've played on some dance stuff. You know, there's like,
I have. Yeah, I've done
and not everybody can do that.
Right. Okay. So I mean, I have done everything from like jungle drum and bass to house music to rock, jazz. So yeah, I mean, I started off as a jazz musician really, and don't play much jazz anymore. And I think the skills that I learnt from that, you can transfer to anything really, and I've always been interested in all music. You know, like when I was a teenager, I wasn't just listening to one thing. It's always just been lots of things, you know, like, to enjoy, and it's just music. So throughout my 20s, it was quite a hard concept to kind of get your head around. Like it's just music, but it is. It's hard, but it is just that, you know. It's just like you're just on stage with a few people making a racket, and what it's like learning language, I suppose. You know, like if you've got the language to talk to someone in a particular genre or whatever you're trying to create, you can talk together.
Totally,
instruments.
absolutely.
So if that makes a bit more sense, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's kind of cool because we grew up around about the same time. I think there's maybe a year or two between us in age. So, you know, there was a lot of pigeonholing went on at school and stuff. You like the guys that liked rock music, or the guys that were into indie, or you know, and you know, I ended up surviving because you could play things like the Live Forever beat, and all the Neds would be like, oh, that guy's all right, man. You know, we'll leave him alone. You know, but secretly I'm into like the Smashing Pumpkins. You know, so. You kind of have to navigate all of that stuff at those kind of ages, you know. So it's quite unique that you were into jazz at that age as well as other things.
I think it was quite unique finding that I was really into jazz, but that was just through the school music teacher, really. You know, it wasn't. It was just a normal school, but this guy and the teachers there were so encouraging and like introduced me to Pat Metheny and more like fusion jazz, right? But we were playing like Glenn Miller, you know, in the band,
the brass bands.
But we'd also play like Yellow Jackets and Kenny G songs. Like weirdly, you know, he loved Kenny G. But which
less said about that.
I know. So that it started for me then, really, and it just kind of like been a journey, and it still is a journey to try and make music with people.
So you don't really have any bias about any of it?
I try not to. I mean, I try to go in with an open mind with anything I'm asked to do, and just see what happens.
That's pretty hip.
Well, that's what I like to do.
I think it's a great way to be as well, especially when you're playing with so many different artists. You know,
I mean, I guess some people, it's just who I am. It's just what I've ended up doing. Some people, that's not the case. They're in a band and are good at one thing and fucking good at it. You know? Whereas, and I'd kind of like to be like that sometimes, but at the moment I'm, you know, dipping my toe in a few places.
Do you think you'd be satisfied just doing one thing?
I don't know. Probably not. I said that. I don't know. I like, at the moment, I'm really happy to be doing things, and what I've been doing the last 3 years with Robert, I've really enjoyed, because it is more like it's like a band, you know.
Right.
And we've done a lot of gigs, you know, and so I've enjoyed that, you know. And but most of the artists I've played for or bands I'm in, it does end up like a band, you know. I don't feel like I don't just turn up, play, and then that's that. I really don't like that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I give my all to the music, and
Yeah.
hopefully get that back from the and actually if I look at all the people I've worked with, it's like, you know, I'm still in touch with them all, and like
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
we you know, it's a conversation, or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It's quite nice that like you're not just a hired gun in that way, you know, like you're very much, they've got you in the band because of who you are as a person as well, you know.
I'd like to think that, yeah.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that is the case, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So you touched on obviously working with Robert Plant very briefly there. How did all that come about? You know, did that just evolve naturally from doing things you've done before, or was it just kind of you got the call, or?
yeah, basically just quite naturally.
Yeah.
Dave, who was playing drums with Robert before, had to take some time off, so they needed someone to cover,
Mm-hmm.
and my name got put in the mix, and you know, cut a long story short, he ended up asking me to come and do it, you know. But I mean, I guess it's quite a good story that so yeah, there's a lot of names going around, I think, at the time, and I was honoured to be being put in there. But they said, "Oh yeah, come down to the Albert Hall to watch the gig, you know, and see what you think." So I come to a sound check and all that. So off I went, and I was watching a sound check. And the idea was that you're going to meet everyone in the band and whatever. And I was friends with a few of the people in the band anyway from playing in some other things. So that's what I mean. It did,
Yeah.
you know, it worked out like that. But there's this thing I like meeting everyone. It's like didn't meet anyone because, you know, it's like on a gig day, it's quite busy and all that. And then watched the gig. It was lovely. And then afterwards, there's the, you know, after show and all that. And so Robert was there. You know, everyone was there. And Dave was like, "Oh, we should try and get you to meet Robert," you know. And actually, I should say before this, I'd needed to send in some examples of me playing, you know, like what I do, you know. So I kind of thought, oh, I should put in some things of me playing with famous people, you know, or big gigs.
Yeah.
Show that I've done some stuff, you know. So I sent him a video of me playing with some famous artists or people and big shows and all that. And I got the word back, nah, not interested.
Really?
You know, yeah,
Wow,
just
really?
like no, this isn't right. And the guys in the band were like, you know, you should be Robert's not interested in that, you know, like make something of all the obscure or more left field things that you've done.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done, as well as all these people, you know, I've done records of you know, like brass quintet with electronic percussion and like, you know, like lefty field things, you know, like jazz releases and things like that. And so I made a little tape of that, or a MP3 or something, whatever it was, and sent it over and got the word, "Robert's loving this," you know.
Oh, cool.
Right. So good, you know. So I went along to the sound check and all that, and then it got to this after show thing, and it was busy. It was hoaching, you know. It was like fucking everyone. David Gilmour
It's like
was
Sucky
there.
Hall Street on a Saturday night.
It was, you know, it was quite busy up there, and you know, all kinds of people were in that room, you know, and I thought, this is just not going to happen, you know what I mean? This is just weird. And then Robert came over, right, and so Dave said, "Dave, this is John." "Oh, John, how you doing? Nice to meet you." I said, "Nice to meet you too." You know, "Oh, you're Scottish?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm Scottish," you know. And he went, "Oh, great, we're going to get on just fine." And then at that point, this mega weird kind of woman groupie, or not a groupie, there's no groupies at all, but just some weird fan or something, you know, spilt his drink, right? And then all of a sudden there was a commotion and Robert was whisked off with some, well, I know him now, Tom, the security guy, you know, fucking. So and I was like, oh man, you just started getting chatting, you know. I thought, what are we going to start talking about now, you know? I thought, oh well, that's that then. And then Robert then caught my eye and his drink had spilt, you know. So I was like, I was stood right by the bar where these snare drums are. So I said, "Do you want a drink?" And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What do you want?" And he's like double gin and tonic, I think it was. I can't remember. So I was like, "Okay, got a double gin and tonic, got a beer." And then this woman, was stood there, and she went to take that gin and tonic that I'd just bought, and to give it to Robert. And so I think that happened. And I was just like, huh? Just stood there with a beer. And I was like, oh my God, this is just got, what? And then about 5 minutes later, someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, it was Robert. And he was like, I'm really sorry about that. These strange things do happen to me. Anyway, and he's just like, how you doing, you know? And started talking about music and things like that. And then I think a couple of days later, he said, all right, I want you to come and play, you know. So then I did, and I've been doing it for a while now. Yeah.
So in a kind of weird way, that woman doing that is almost the best thing that could have happened, really, because you got to know him so well through a mutual kind of...
I don't know. It's quite a funny story anyway. That's why I'm telling you.
Random nutcase gets you the gig. Thanks, random nutcase. Wherever you are.
I don't think. I mean, who knows? It's just quite funny, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I guess these guys just want to make sure you're normal, eh?
I think so, and especially him. You know, he's amazing guy, by the way. I've learnt so much from him, but you know, he's just been there and done everything. He's done a lot.
Yeah.
So for him, it's just like, you know, he wants someone. I don't know. You know, I'm very honoured.
He wants someone who's not going to be sitting there starstruck and not do the gig justice. You know,
I think so. You know, because if you really look at his career, you know, Led Zeppelin was obviously a big thing, but there's been lots of other stuff. Every month he's doing something amazing. You know?
Yeah, the Union Station stuff for years with was it Alison Krauss? He played with Alison Krauss for a while, didn't he?
The Union Station, I think, is her own band, but I mean, he did a record with her called Raising Sand. That's fantastic. You know, with Jay Bellerose. One of my heroes. You know, got to meet him and see him play.
Oh, amazing.
Last year. So he's constantly evolving, you know, and so if you turned up, you know, being a Bonham copy, then it's not right, really, you know. It's just, as I said, it's just serving what the music is at the time, you know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So,
Did these guys let you be creative?
Oh,
you're gonna bring some stuff to the gig, you know.
If you didn't with Robert, you'd be out the door in a heartbeat. You know, everyone is feeding off everyone else. It's not just learn the part and get on with it. It's
cool,
because the songs are changing every day.
Oh, amazing! Oh, great.
Like, you know, the set list could change, but I'm talking about an actual song. Could just be like, I don't want to play it like that anymore. So it's like completely new arrangement could happen. Overnight, you know, through a conversation at a breakfast or a coffee or a sound check or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I guess being a jazz man, then that'll suit you.
Yeah, and you need to know. Well, I've had to know a lot of songs in my head, you know, and then when the arrangements start getting changed, it gets quite confusing because he's got like 50 years of music making, you know. So some of these songs have been through a lot of lives.
I bet they have, man. I bet they have.
But I like that. Yeah. But I wouldn't really want to play with most of the people I've played with. I think all of them, it's kind of like that. I'm not really. I think I would go quite stir crazy, doing the same thing all the time.
I mean, that's a different challenge, isn't it?
That's a different challenge.
It's like spoke to old pal Alan Dale, and he talked about those playing in the pit, you know, and every night has to be the same, you know, because people have an expectation of what they're coming to see, and
that's a different. It's the opposite end of what I'm saying, I guess.
But
there is an element of that approach in what I've been doing with people, because, you know, I can't just get up on the drums and you know, think, hey guys, I'm just going to play it like this tonight.
I'm playing,
because it'd be like, what, you know.
This song is just now a shuffle.
There's actually quite a lot of consistency
Yeah.
required.
Yeah.
It's just that you need to be really open to things being possibly different.
Yeah.
At any point.
Aye. Like on the gig, changeable or.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Just amazing. Like that's what Robert loves is the mistakes, really.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the
When
magic
things go really wrong, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I don't do much I don't really do any teaching actually, but there's been a guy coming to see me every couple of months down in London,
Mm-hmm.
a chap called Tom. He's great, and he came round the other day to see me to learn some brushes, I think it was, but we got chatting about stuff, and there's this song that we do with Robert where it's just basically like in one.
Right.
There's it's not four.
Yeah.
It's just boom ba boom ba boom ba boom ba, and with how he sings, that determines when there's like a little cue.
Right.
But he sings. I've played this songs a lot with him now.
Mm-hmm.
It's never the same,
Mm.
and each phrase is never the same,
Amazing.
and so it can go really wrong, and it has done on like really big gigs. And I was showing Tom this video of me playing this song because he wanted to know about drum soloing. Actually, that's what it was. So I get a little drum solo in this song, and so I was showing him my approach to it, and there was this massive mistake, and he was just like, he couldn't believe it. Like, and it was before we went to the bridge. There was this massive mistake, and there was no way for us to know how to go to the bridge.
Right.
If you watch this, but I'll show you it sometime. But it's just like there's no way that. And everyone's trying to like get it going to try and get to the fucking bridge, and we got there eventually. It's probably over about 10-15 seconds.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Scrambling about. Everyone got each other's back. Billy, the bass player's right up on my drums, like 1, and I'm giving it a 1, and then Robert's singing something, and then we finally hit the bridge, and then it's just like, and then it's like drum solo. And I remember this gig. It was in Lake Tahoe, which is like in the middle of America, and it was an amazing day.
Mm-hmm.
And and I remember it was a pretty big gig, like 20,000 people, I think, and Los Lobos were playing before. And,
amazing.
Great, and it was just like a fucking car. But the thing is, I was showing Tom this thing, and it's just like, but then you got to do your drum solo after this, thing that's made you feel a little bit like, oh my god, we've messed up.
Yeah.
But you've just got to kind of immediately put that out of your head and focus on the now. So that's kind of what I'm saying, is that it's music can be like that, on seat your pants, and it's in the now, you're in the now.
It's
We've
funny
all been
because
there, definitely.
like college will never teach you that. That's like pretty much on the gig. You've got to learn that shit.
Yeah. Well, I learned all that stuff through doing a million wedding gigs and
Right.
Kaylee band gigs and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've done thousands of that.
Yeah.
Like wee crap recording sessions, amazing but all that I'm not just this guy playing with Billy, Robert and all that. I did all that. That's what teaches you how to survive on a situation like the one I've just told you.
Yeah.
So you got the tools and the balls to get yourself through it.
Yeah. For
That's
sure,
it.
man. For sure.
You're totally right, because can you imagine like having zero experience and getting thrown in that situation? It would have been an even bigger car crash potentially.
I mean, you just walk out on the stage and there's that many people and you're already sort of kind of edgy,
Yeah.
But then, what is the biggest artist or one of the biggest artists in the world is also making the mistake with you.
Well,
So
it's
there's
just
a little bit of comfort in that, I'd have thought.
yeah. Well, it's the kind of thing it is.
Yeah.
Like what me and the other guys in that band we like that. We like taking risks.
Yeah.
Other bands, they don't. I've
Yeah.
met guys, MDs or whatever, that they don't like that. They don't like risk.
Yeah.
It's got to be the same every night, and if you make a mistake, you're fired. It's just different horses for courses. Is that it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
for sure.
Absolutely,
Different
yeah.
boats,
For sure.
different boats. I don't know.
Yeah, but
everyone's got a different approach. And
Yeah.
I'm
Aye.
not saying one's better than the other.
Totally.
It makes me think about sport though. it makes me think about playing a team sport. Some days you have great days, and some days you don't. But we're all still on the same side.
Some days, exactly. That's exactly what it is, isn't it?
Aye,
you're
of
not
course.
gonna it's just life, isn't it? Music is life.
If you have too many of the bad days, then we'll maybe have a chat about it. But we just had a shit night, guys.
Yeah.
Or we just had a shit 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think if I was making mistakes left, right, and centre, Robert would fire me.
Yeah.
But if it's the right kind of mistakes, it's fun.
Well, it's the kind of mistakes that you can go back on the bus and laugh about. Do you know what I mean? It's not the kind of one that you're worried
great,
about.
Yeah,
it's great. This has taken me back because lockdown's affected everyone. We haven't done any gigs since last October, but this has taken me back. I remember doing that solo every night, and I don't really like doing drum solos. Really, it's not really my thing. I'm more like an accompanying drummer, I suppose. But anyway, I did enjoy it because I felt I could do what I want to do within it. I could do whatever the hell I wanted.
Right.
And I got into some things like really like slowing down and then doing surprising things, and Robert was really with me all the way. And then like after the gig every night, we'd kind of walk off to go back to the dressing room, and he would know exactly how I was feeling.
Oh wow!
Because some nights I'd feel like it flowed really well.
Yeah.
And it was good. Some nights it would be like too short, or I got in a stuck. It stuck, like being honest with you, like
of course. Absolutely.
And Robert would know, and he'd say, John, you should have done that wee bit that you did there. You should have done it longer, or that when you got into that thing, why did you stop? And I learned a lot from him, to just be like, be fearless, just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? It's amazing, He is like the ultimate for that. If you just and Zeppelin, like after I've played with him for a few years now, and I listen back to that band, I just think they're the ultimate for that,
they all had fire in them, didn't they?
And some.
I think that's one of the most amazing things about. That's what music is. Like, I don't care if I've led bands. I don't care if you make a mistake as long as you play with fire.
Yeah.
Like. That's
I think
more
so,
honest than anything else.
Totally,
It's more exciting for the listener, isn't it? To see
absolutely.
People having a blast. And
man. Yeah, and let's figure out how the fuck we're going to get to the bridge.
Yeah. Well, we had no idea, but we did get there eventually.
I watched your video earlier, the one with Matt Calvert.
Oh right, yeah.
That's some interesting music going on.
Thanks.
I love the kind of, I don't even know what it is you're playing.
Me neither.
I mean the actual instruments, the actual instrument vibe, So
well, Matt's a good friend of mine.
Right.
Guitarist, producer, all sorts. He's in a great band called Three Trap Tigers.
Oh
Do you know that band?
yeah, man. Great band.
Well, they're all good friends of mine, and we've made lots of music together over the years. And so this project of Matt's called Typewritten is all acoustic instruments, but trying to replicate like electronic sounds, I suppose. But I mean, a lot of people are doing that now. But I think the way Matt's got it all set up is quite unique, And I've just got all these little. Basically, I just got. I have a lot of drums. I mean, you've got a lot of drums here. I don't have this many, but. I've got a lot of stuff, and I've got a lot of weird stuff. And this music and Matt gives me an opportunity to play some of that, in a real musical way, rather than just chucking a weird cowbell on your cymbal stand and hitting it,
Well, we were talking about this earlier on. You were talking about going around little thrift shops in America when you're on tour, and finding stuff. Did any of that?
I just remember one of them. It was like, I can't remember where I was, but. Someone like North America, like north of North America, and there's a weird shop, and I was like, said to Billy, the bass player, I think there's a really good music shop. I looked. They've got a kind of Facebook page, and there's some really cool old drums on it, but it looked weird. It didn't look like a drum shop or anything. It just looked like some weird random music shop in a tiny town by a river. So anyway, we went for a walk there, or I did. I went on the first day and I checked it out and I was just like, wow, this is awesome. And the owner wasn't in, and the guy in the shop was like, yeah, you should come back, because I thought I wanted this thing called a cymbal spring that Jay Bellerose uses actually.
Right, okay. Uh-huh.
And it's like a 1920s clamp for a cymbal.
Right.
It's like a bit of metal, and he puts it on his bass drum and puts a tambourine on it, and it basically creates a spring reverb.
Oh wow, okay, right.
Cool. Wow.
And it's really cool, but really rare.
Uh-huh.
And I just smelt it in this shop that there was one in there. And so I said to this guy, I thought, all right, I might get some other bits and bobs, but I said to the guy that was working, who wasn't a drummer or anything, he's just like, I'm not a drummer, come back tomorrow, the owner will be there, you know. I was like, all right, cool. So
As if it wasn't sketchy enough.
And so I went back the next day with Billy and Skin, and because we just go to music shops when we're on tour,
Right.
or vinyl shops. And anyway, they were up for it. They were having to play the guitars and stuff. Skin probably bought a banjo. That's normally what happens.
Is that his thing?
Well, I don't know how many banjos he's got, but he's got a lot of guitars anyway. Fuck me. And I think he's got like 30 guitars on tour
Jesus.
or something like that.
Wow.
I'm
Wow.
serious, all racked up. That's just his side of the stage. But yeah, this guy, I got there. I'm really sorry, but I think he was called Clay. I can't remember, but it was his shop.
Right.
And he walked in, and I said what I was after. He's like, yeah, come out the back. And in the shop, he had like all these old Leedies and Ludwigs, and I would have bought some, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I'm not selling them. He had some beauties in there, you know. But he said, these are all just for show. I was like, all right then. And he said, come through the back, and it was just like an Aladdin's cave, you know.
Yeah.
I was thinking, oh man, I'm gonna get some stuff in here if he'd let me, because he was quite a hoarder, I think.
Right,
You know.
yeah.
Anyway, he had one.
Oh fucking nice.
He had two actually, and he said, okay, come back tomorrow and I'll decide which one I want to sell you. And I said, great, okay. Give him tickets for the gig, and then either he brought it to the gig or I picked it up. But I have one of those cymbal springs now.
Amazing.
So yeah, I'm always trying to pick up weird little gadgets and stuff and
Yeah,
stuff.
and just find a little home for them on a track or on a
Well, yeah,
gig.
I mean, a lot of this, I do have a lot of this stuff. It might not be used for a couple of years or something. Might just, but then
No, totally, you're right.
one day it'll just come through, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a believer. Sometimes I think about just stripping back and just having, you know, because I see people that I admire, like Gad, you know.
Yeah.
He just is Gad on his kit. I like that, but I couldn't play Matt's music on the kit that I play with Robert, for example.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? At the moment, I'm needing to use different things for different music.
Sure.
But yeah, with Matt, I play chopsticks and
Oh, amazing.
Brilliant.
just trying to create whatever the sound is in your head, trying to get it out, you know, little weird bass drums and
yeah,
it's really fun. Thanks for checking that out.
No, it was great, man. It's really beautiful music as well. It's really, it's going to
Matt's-
sound daft, but it was really musical, really melodic, and
Matt's writing is amazing.
you know, some people like when I was at college, a lot of the sort of the composers that like to do really outside shit. Sometimes it just sounds like really outside shit. It just like the conductor can't even conduct it. He's like, there's too many. Every bar's a different time signature, or they're trying to be too adventurous because it's been written on a computer.
Sure.
It's not been written at a piano or something that makes sense, you know. So it's refreshing to hear contemporary music that's actually music.
Yeah,
You
it's really unique, I think. And
Yeah.
you know, some of the tracks are really rhythmic, like
Well,
weird.
playing from if he plays in Three Trap Tigers,
like
then,
math rock type stuff, but played
absolutely.
with chopsticks. If you know what I mean, mixed with a bit of drum and bass. And,
for sure.
And then it's got like more ambient things. But yeah, I'm really proud of that stuff anyway. And yeah. Thank
Shifting gears a wee bit, then where does that put you on the vintage gear versus new gear like
gear,
debate?
gear.
Sorry, it's a dead boring question,
No,
but you've got 48 leadies and shit, you know.
Yeah,
so
like,
I don't own 48. Oh, you 1948? Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, I used to only play old drums.
Right.
You know, that was it. I had, that's what fitted with me, with what I was up to.
Right.
You know? When I was a kid, I had Yamaha Stage Custom, and but then I got into the jazz thing. I got into vintage drums, and so over the years, I've just had lots of drums, and now I've got Ludwigs, Leedies. I got a Camco now, which I love.
Okay.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Hunting for another one of them in big sizes. That's right,
Yeah.
But the thing I learnt about the vintage drums thing, or that works for me, is because I've owned so many that are like not quite right.
Yeah.
They've been cut in half, or like this tom's a round badge and that's a hex badge. There's a lot of that going on, and I bought all of them, but I've just learnt to kind of stick to the good stuff because it'll sound better and feel better and retain its value and
hold up to being played or on tour or something.
Yeah, I mean, some of the drums I've like my Camcos, they're so nice.
Right.
I mean, they're like pristine, amazing. But I do take them out and play them. I play them in the local pub with my neighbour. I love it. We got a wee organ trio, but now actually, when I started playing with Robert, I got a deal with Gretsch drums,
right?
And before that, I had played the Gretsch drums because obviously when you're playing around, you get to play loads of kits, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
So
higher stuff. And all that.
I really liked the Gretsch drums, and then I now have a broadcaster kit from them,
beautiful,
which I really enjoy. But I've not played it since last October. It's in a lock up in Birmingham Fly by Night.
Yeah. Because there's, I mean, it's a debate. We get asked about it a lot, being a shop, and like people come in with vintage drums and they're trying to move them on, and what's the value of them and that kind of thing, And I've had experiences where they're just, some of them just don't want to be hit, they just, I've had snare drums that won't stay in tune, or you got all that old stuff to deal with.
And I used to love it,
right?
But I also didn't used to care.
Okay.
I really didn't care about gear.
Right. Okay.
I just didn't care about it at all. I mean, I just just hit anything, tried to make it sound good. But now I guess I care a little bit more about the equipment. I've kind of, in the last like 5 years or 6 years or something, just started to really think about, like for example, if the bearing edge is all right, it'll actually sound okay, because if the drum doesn't tune up well, it's a bit of a nightmare, especially in the studio.
And you'll need consistency, won't you?
Yeah. And those Gretches are great,
Yeah, the broadcasters are pretty special. There was a really cool video doing the rounds when they came out, and it was Matt Chamberlain had a 48 broadcaster and a new one, and they sounded almost identical. It was pretty magic what they did.
Yeah. They're really good.
Yeah.
I'm into them.
So what sizes do you usually take on tour with Robert, or does it depend on who you play with usually?
I like the 14 depth. What do they call that?
The depth, the bass drum depth.
When they're, but the shallower sizes essentially, So I've got a 22 by 14, a 12 by 8, 13 by 9, 14 by 14, and a 16 by 16. So it's quite the vintage sizes, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then all my drums are those sizes. So now I'm like, they all sound different, but I am looking at my studio and I'm thinking maybe I need to switch things up a bit. So I'm on the hunt. I'm shopping. I'm always shopping like that stuff.
Get a Brooklyn. They're great.
Brooklyn. Yeah, I've not played them.
They're a bit more open than the broadcaster. They give you a totally different thing, I think.
Yeah, maybe I will.
For me, sharper bearing edges and things.
Okay.
So just feel a bit.
Yeah, I like drums that aren't too bright though.
Okay, right.
I like them to be
a
warm.
bit,
that's what kind of sits with me for most of the music I do. But yeah, I used to tour all the old drums though.
And they stood up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got the Leedy doesn't have bass drum spurs or anything. It's just got wee cowbell things that I think Gary and Alan from the drum shop
back in the day
gave me. And they fit on the Leedy. And I've taken that on tour with all kinds of people, and I've got a blue and olive badge Ludwig I used to use on loads of tours.
Yeah,
it's just, of course. I always think why are people saying that? I'll get beat up. If you're playing really heavy music, maybe.
Well, we've had people like that on tour, haven't they? And they've brought us this precious thing that's gubbed because they've been smacking the shit out it.
Yeah,
and you're like, you can't get a part for that. Why would you take that on tour, knowing full well that no commercial shop's really gonna? And do you know that where the drum shops are in each town you're going to, just in case. You know, there might not be
Yeah.
one for like 5 towns.
Yeah. Well, I went. Started with this Gretsch thing on when I started playing with Robert, and it's been good. You know, I've enjoyed it. We haven't had any gigs for a while, so I don't know what I'd be doing if I was out playing now. But yeah, they're really good. You know?
And there's a heritage and a history with that kind of brand, isn't there?
Yeah, and they just sound quite vintage, those drums, but it has. I don't know what I prefer really, but
Yeah, I mean, they'll provide you sounds that modern drums won't.
yeah,
You know, for the guys that like that thing, a lot of them often say modern drums are too clean.
yeah. That I could relate to that phrase.
You know, and it's not a slight on modern drums. It's just that they're not going to get. They're too resonant. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the drum companies now, their MO is to make the drums as resonant as possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's vastly different from how it was back.
I'm
in
trying to go away from that.
T-tones
Yeah.
and
Totally.
snare weights and
Just get a new drum and just throw a bit of dirt on it. You know.
Yeah.
Like.
yeah.
I try to not use dampening though.
Right.
So well,
There's a conundrum.
yeah. Well, it depends on the music, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But I do like tuning it in a way that just keeps it all contained. You know, I've found a way. The broadcasters do what I want them to do.
Did you have to change the way you played?
No,
No?
not at all.
You
no.
could still
no,
play-
they felt good. You know,
Right.
That's why I wouldn't use some. I wouldn't use something if it fucked with me.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, just because I'm getting some deal or something. You know,
Yeah,
it's,
totally.
that's not really interesting for me. So no, they feel good, but yeah, in the Camcos I can do that. I can tune them just right. You know, but other drums it's like damp, and I like dampening. You know, I mean, like I've got my dampening tricks.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I like it if you can get them tuned in a way that means that they just ring for not long.
Yeah.
And I like them like almost like they've EQ'd themselves.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that obviously your head choice will inform all that as well. So what heads do you usually run? Do you have a preference of heads, or again does it
It
depend
changes.
on
Remo heads, and
Yeah.
I use nothing fancy. Ambassadors and emperors, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
Emperors for days, man.
Definitely.
The head.
I
for
can't
me.
really remember what I was, but I think I had emperors on the toms, and I tried out a few different things, like the dot head.
CS.
I liked that for a bit, and then I went off it, and yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Everyone's got different things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, the reason I brought it up is recently me and Chris brought our own drums in here, and you know, like it's interesting that even not only two drums with the same heads on them sound totally different. Well, I mean that's
of
obvious,
course.
but like the different makes and manufacturers, but then also deciding what heads work with each drum. So for example, like on one of my drums, the 12 sounds better with an Ambassador X as opposed to an Emperor, because the
Right.
Emperor's maybe a bit too much for that drum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I mean, Jesus, I mean, we could talk about this for weeks, couldn't
oh,
we?
totally,
There's
totally.
so many variables on the drums
Yeah.
and cymbals,
Before
snare
we've even-
wires,
yeah.
also, you know.
Totally.
Before we've even got to the room you're playing in.
Yeah.
It changes for the room all the
Yeah.
time, and yeah, just being open to things, I think is good.
Yeah.
I guess, like, if you're playing big shows, man, after a point, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because the
No, it
front of
does.
house, the front of house guys go. Well, I mean, things like the room you're going to play in. If you're playing in a big cavern, there's just nothing you can do about that after a certain point.
Yeah,
And
that
after
can
the
get
engineer's
funny.
done his bit as well.
Yeah,
you know.
that can get funny.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
like if
About
you're
how
playing
to-
outside,
Yeah, I know.
you know what I mean, versus playing in the SECC or the Hydro as it is now or whatever. You know, it's just
No, it's an interesting thing, and that's one of the reasons I like going to see gigs. Sometimes, or when I see bands play, it's like to see what people are doing. You know, see how they sound and what choices they've made.
yeah.
But you're right that when you get to that level with front of house and monitors, and you've got all your own gear, you know, like
Yeah.
we have our own. You know, all the mics are the same.
Yeah.
You know, all the speakers are the same everywhere we go.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a consistency in sound there.
Yeah.
Certainly where I'm sat, but out front it's different. But the people that are working on it are really good. So you just have to trust. That there's an element of trust involved in music.
Yeah.
You know, between the drums and the bass, or
Yeah.
front of house guy and his tech, and like you just got to be trustworthy, innit?
Totally,
you know?
yeah, absolutely.
Sure. And I guess if you're travelling around the world, you need consistency. And if the only thing that's consistent that night is your drum set,
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying all that. I feel, I'm fortunate to be in that position of to
absolutely.
be working in a band that's shipping everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
That doesn't happen with a band, touring the UK. Well, that depends what level you're at, essentially.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah,
So,
sure.
it makes it good. it is nice, but I like it when I've played in bands where you go to China and you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I actually did a gig in August,
Right.
in Moscow.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I did a gig in Moscow and turned up. I didn't know what I was getting. You know what I mean? I can't even remember what it was, but I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
And,
kind of lucky dip of like, what am I going to get today?
And Russia's a funny one, because it was obviously specced out Gretsch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have any Gretsch in Russia.
no.
I don't know why actually, but
Good distribution.
or maybe they do have Gretsch, but they didn't want it. Maybe Gretsch was doing something different. I don't know, but
Russia don't like America.
we tried to make it work, so it was all right. But I like that challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in London now, I always used to take all my own drums to sessions.
Right.
I didn't, because I know what I've got, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd take my vintage drums or whatever. And now I just say, as the studio or if I know if the studio's got a kit, I know what I'm getting. I've been there a few times, but I love that now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just turning up with a cymbal bag or maybe a snare, maybe not.
What
maybe
changed?
just a bag of percussion. I think one day I just went, do you want to know what? That sounds like fun.
Right.
Just like what we're talking about with the touring thing. It's the same with a studio. It's just like sometime, that's really fun. Most places have got some kind of interesting drum kit now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Did
I
you
just
get
like
better
that.
results?
I don't know. I certainly wasn't. It's just different.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe when I was a bit, back when I was taking on my own stuff, I just thought, well, I want to put that. But now I'm like, well, it's more like what's coming out your head than the drum. And as long as the drum's of a certain standard, it should be all right. As long as you can tune it nice.
Yeah.
And then that's all right.
Yeah. And that's it. And as you say, sometimes it can be a bit more fun as well because it presents its own challenges and its own
I just
sound.
kind of thought, I guess maybe part of it was just like, the amount of time you spent prepping that and lugging it to the studio and then setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
You could be spending that like having a laugh and a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And like sometimes that's better than sound
hitting a floor tom for 16 or so minutes, you know.
like creates. I'd rather. I guess I'd just rather. I'm really into music now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
More-
The engineer's going to know the kit.
That's helped out. I've been doing quite a lot of this place, Fish Factory, but
Right.
that no one knows of. There's like no website because it's run by this guy Antonio, Italian guy, but he's fantastic. I think it's one of the best studios in London, and he's got a round badge Gretsch, a Blue Olive Ludwig, a Rogers, original 9000 Yamaha.
Oh, cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Holy Grail.
yeah, covered.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also the engineer there knows all those drums,
Mhm.
and you can just play and
Knows the room, knows the mics.
yeah, and it's kind of better than him having to change everything either.
Yeah, you spend a week.
He's then got a nicer day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and everybody, the session's better.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
I mean, but with Matt's thing, I'd need to take my own gear,
Right.
because it's so specific,
Mm. Yeah.
So if it's not specific, I'm quite loose,
Yeah. Makes me think of guys like Joey Waronker. We
love
watched.
him.
We've been watching. The Drum Doctor guy.
Yeah,
You watching his podcasts?
Yeah, of course.
And Joey Waronker was like the first one.
Yeah.
You think that kind of thing always makes me think of him as a player.
Yeah, I guess I think he was talking about that, wasn't he?
A little bit. Yeah. It's been a while since I've watched it, but
Yeah,
it's great.
I love it.
Aye, super hip.
Mhm.
Super
It's like
hip.
what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think
Totally.
so.
And I was saying to you, I was like, I watched all I've watched all of them, and
Oh, amazing.
all these things. I love it,
Yeah.
And thank you too for doing all this.
No, thank you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
man. Of
man,
course,
we
absolutely.
just-
You know, it's
started
good
it as
for
a
the
laugh, didn't we?
community.
That's the thing, like, and you've probably even heard us saying this in some of the past episodes. Like, these are conversations that me and Chris would have
Yeah,
on a normal shop day.
I
We
know,
just
I
thought one
would.
day, like, fuck it, let's just record them and see what happens.
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's good because I enjoy sitting at home and tuning into these things now and again, and hopefully maybe there's some younger players or people getting into it, or not anyone who enjoys it. You know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people have started to do things like ask us questions. You know, can you guys talk
Okay.
about this? Like, yeah,
Oh,
sure,
wow,
we'll give
cool.
you our tuppence on it. You know,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean it's the right answer, but here's what we think. You know,
Yeah.
like,
And it's
Um,
also nice to hear from guys like yourself who are out doing it as well.
yeah, I've watched a
because-
load of them. or
I think,
listened to them,
I
whatever.
think that's really important
Yeah.
because, like,
It's nice to be, to be open to, like, if you're saying I'm playing, I live in London. You know, it's
Mhm.
nice to connect with you guys and
yeah,
vice versa. You know,
Of
I
course.
mean, when we were coming up, it was like you read rhythm.
Oh,
You know
I've
what
got
I mean?
all the rhythms.
Yeah.
And wee thingies. Yeah.
Yeah,
I still love when I go back to my mum and dad's. Like that's where they all are. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
read them.
yeah.
I love magazines like that.
Yeah, I was mad into it. I would go down the rabbit hole on your favourite players and like.
Yeah.
You know, you know what drum sizes they played and on what records and
Yeah.
all that. 'Cause I was really into
That's
all
how
of
you
that.
learn.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. You know,
Mhm.
it's part of it. Everything. You know.
But I think it's been missing for a while.
Really. I mean,
'Cause-
I guess I was a bit out of touch because I just got playing.
Mhm.
But
But then, like,
seems to be really. I mean, to me, it seems oversaturated now.
well, I
Yeah,
think
there's
these things
so
like
much.
magazines just
Yeah.
stopped, didn't they? Like,
Yeah, it
you
just
know,
became
people
a
stopped.
But
dead format.
online, I mean, there's
Yeah.
now everyone. I mean, look at us. We're doing a wee show in the shop. You know, like,
Totally.
we're part of the problem. But it's oversaturation of things. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the way we look at it now is it can be part of our brand.
Yeah. No,
Mhm.
people, you guys need to do it for the shop. And,
Yeah.
You know, it's
You know,
part
it's-
of it.
You know, and it you know, people have been with us for 14 years, man. So if we can give them
Yeah.
something back
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
their loyalty, you know,
Customers and stuff.
I've,
Yeah, of
yeah,
course,
that's
yeah.
there. Like they've been like, I've had customers that were at my wedding that I've had
Wow.
like, best pals with now. You know, over because I've known them for the better part of my adult life.
Mhm.
You know, so if there's ways that we can help
Yeah.
people,
It's
Or-
a good community, the
I
drumming one.
think so. I
Yeah,
think so. It's
absolutely.
way better than kind of keyboard community, that's for sure. Or
I don't
the
know.
guitar community, you know, like because the guitarists aren't doing this. I don't think. You know,
Yeah.
I think they are.
Are
Yeah,
they?
I was going to say, I think they are, Chris.
I think
Yeah.
everyone's up to it these
You're
days.
the dinosaur
mate,
in that world, man.
maybe,
That's it.
maybe. But
You're,
like,
you're out of touch.
all right, what strings do you play, man? You know, what's your axe?
yeah. They're doing that.
Are they really?
Yeah,
Fucking
man.
right there, yeah.
All right,
There you go.
I'll shut
drums
up.
are better.
They are, man. They are for sure. For sure.
Go and educate yourself, Chris.
All right, I'll start watching Guitar podcast.
John, so I'm just kind of thinking while we're talking about you playing with all these artists, if
Uh-huh.
there's any artists that you would love to play with,
Oh,
dead or alive, anyone.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot.
I know.
I don't know. Who would I like to?
Kenny G.
Dead or alive? No. Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
The obvious choices that come to mind are Miles Davis and John Coltrane or someone like that. I don't know. I mean, Tom York maybe.
Oh wow, cool. Yeah,
You know,
he's all right.
just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. You know, Paul Buchanan
Oh, I love Paul Buchanan.
from the Blue
Have
Nile.
you heard his solo album?
Yeah,
Mid-Air?
I'm a massive fan.
That's
of the
one
Blue
of my
Nile.
favourite records ever made.
Yeah,
And he made it in his living room with a piano. Amazing.
yeah. I mean, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just being here in Glasgow for
Yeah.
a couple of weeks with my wife, you know, I'm
Mhm.
just like, I listen to the Blue Nile,
Yeah.
Mhm.
drive about. When I was driving here,
Mhm.
full blast.
We were
hats.
talking. We were talking about our friend Louis Abbott,
Yeah,
and he did. There's a
I
sort
saw that. He did
contingent that goes around called Start to End, and they did the whole Hats album.
I know. I said to Louis, I'm going to come up for that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really into that music, and then I
Yeah.
couldn't make it at the time.
Yeah,
But
it's-
yeah, I guess maybe Paul Buchanan. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking that.
Nice.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a pretty interesting album for Paul Buchanan to have drums on it in the first place.
Yeah, right. He done this old drum machine, most of it.
But the Blue Nile was,
Yeah.
aye, for sure. And,
I actually love practicing to that stuff.
right.
Because it's
Super
so slow
yeah.
and metronomic, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So you can kind of do some practicing to that
yeah.
to get away from the metronome.
Yeah, that's
Totally.
a great shout, man. I'm
I
going to listen
love
to that
it.
record again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
I don't think I've ever listened to it.
Ah,
You know?
It's brilliant. It's just like I described it to someone the other day. It's just like Glasgow's giving you a hug.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's an
Absolutely,
amazing
aye.
description. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to need to listen to this.
Yeah.
It was my wife actually, because I played at the Blue Nile before and she wasn't that into it.
Right.
Mhm.
And then because we were coming up here for 2 weeks and we drove up, when we crossed the border, and it was like,
That's
"Way!"
track
and
one.
I put the Blue Nile on, and she enjoyed it. So I
Yeah.
think she gets it. You know?
I think
coming
you've
round
got
to
to
it.
arrive at the Blue Nile.
Yeah, it's taken her a few years.
Yeah, I think you've got to, like,
Yeah,
you know, there's Tinseltown in the Rain, which is the
Yeah.
kind of single, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then there's everything else. I
Yeah.
think you've got to arrive at it. I think.
yeah. So I love that.
Yeah. That'd be a great shout.
Yeah.
I'd buy that album.
Well, we'll see. Watch this space. You never know what might happen.
you,
That's
you
it.
don't know, huh? You never
Yeah.
know. Remote sessions and all that now. Just,
I know.
you know, get it.
I never thought I'd be playing with Robert Plant.
There you go.
I was
yeah.
listening to Led Zeppelin when I was whatever, or any of these people, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Did you? Sorry,
Oh,
go. No, you go.
No, I was just going to say, like, I had a question written down of, like, have you had any moments over anyone you've played with of, like, holy shit, I can't actually quite believe what's happening right now or who I'm playing with right now?
Yeah, Robert, I think. you
Yeah.
know.
That being the obvious one.
Yeah. Everyone else has been a bit like, I mean, it's when you start off with someone, it's a bit like, oh, that's so and so.
Mm.
Yeah.
But then you just realise pretty quickly, and after you've done it for a while, that we're all just the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, so
We're all
you're
just
all just
people.
there. You know, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I more get. I've got starstruck a few times meeting people.
Mm.
Like Jay Bellerose, when I
Mm.
saw him, because we did this gig. Well, I actually played 2 gigs with. He was playing with Alison Krauss,
Mm-hmm.
and I was playing with Robert, and we were on the same bill. But who else was playing? I was at Willie Nelson's festival.
Shit the bed.
Wow.
So this
no
Willie
way.
Nelson had this gig. You know, he does this touring festival, and lineup changes a lot,
Mhm.
or some people stay on the tour for a bit. But we only had one night on it.
Right.
And it was generally quite quiet, folky stuff, but we turned up full cavalcades,
aye.
you know what I mean? To this, they call them sheds, you know, these
Right.
big outdoor gigs,
Yeah.
and Willie Nelson's thing, and it was quite rednecky America, actually. I remember turning up and thinking, oh my God, there was like 30,000 people all drinking massive things, and it was great. So that got there, and Alison Krauss and that were playing. I was watching Jay play with Robert. You know,
Mm.
we were stood side to stage, and he was like, Robert was teasing him, like, you know, because he always wears a waistcoat. So Robert was like, when you getting a waistcoat? And I'm like, oh, I don't know.
When he takes it off.
And but anyway, I love his playing, so I was quite starstruck to meet him. And also I met Joey Waronker once,
Oh, well.
Wow.
and I remember being pretty starstruck meeting him. I'd be really starstruck to meet people like that, you know.
Yeah, I think for drummers, I think it tends to be
Keltner
drummers, eh?
and-
Yeah.
Like,
Gadd or Matt
Yeah.
Chamberlain and people like that.
yeah,
like,
yeah, for sure.
I think for
um,
me it would be Chad Smith.
Really?
I've always had, like, Chad Smith was the guy that kind
Yeah.
of got me into, like,
Well, you know, things
know,
like that,
rock
people that
drumming.
you've looked up to and listened
Yeah.
to on records. You know, I
Yeah.
remember just thinking with Joey Waronker, like, met him backstage at some festival in Germany. He was playing with Atoms for Peace,
Mhm.
and I was playing with a guy called Ghost Poet, who's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. I used to play with him for like 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it was us. I can't remember who was on. It was a great line, Flying Lotus.
Oh,
It was
yeah, yeah,
us, and
yeah.
then Flying Lotus, and then Atoms for Peace, and it was just fucking brilliant. And I saw Tom York backstage. Didn't, you know, it's like he came over and talked to us actually about London, and it was just quite normal, you know. And I was at a bar and with Obar, who's like, he's got tattoos, you know, and he's got a Jimi Hendrix tattoo here, and this guy came up and it was Flea, you know.
Oh, no way.
And was like, "Hey man," and they had the exact same Hendrix tattoo in the exact same place.
Wow.
So like
Wow.
it was like holy, so like that just happened, you know. And then it was like, and then I saw Joey Warrington. Now I just launched into some geeky like. I don't even know.
Oh my God, you're
I don't even know if I said it. Hi. Anyway, he looked a little bit like, oh God, I can't be. I think he wasn't in the mood for it. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
another one of these conversations.
So I guess I've been a bit starstruck with some drummer idols.
Yeah, I met Jimmy Chamberlain, which kind of was pretty amazing for me. I grew up in a diet of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah.
So to meet him was a bit like, oh, I don't, you know, you like, you know, you find my thing, you know, thrust him a CD. And he was super cool, man. He was like, just keep playing, man, and wrote his name and did his bit, you know. And he was like, most of these guys are super cool. I guess they've seen that a million times, you know.
Absolutely,
you know. And
I've never told you this, but when a couple of years ago, when I first started working in the shop, the first clinic that we did here was Chris Coleman. Like when I was first started working here. Do you know Chris Coleman?
I know he's playing. He plays with Beck now.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. I've been a fan of Coleman's playing for years.
Right.
So the first clinic we had on was Chris Coleman, and I was like, okay, oh my God, this is going to be really cool, right? But I tried to play it so cool, and I think I did really well up until after his performance at the clinic, because I went backstage and I was like, all of a sudden, just the inner fanboy just came out. I was just like, oh my God, you're just amazing. Like, it freaked out, and he's just like, oh, you could kind of almost see him thinking, I thought you were normal,
right?
And then now you're not.
And he's like, he's just come off the stage. He's sweating bullets because he's played his ass off. All he wants is a hamburger or something.
Totally, and I was just like, oh,
no. Like he likes to eat, man. Like that was a real. Like we had to go and find something. He was mad for curry when he was here.
He was great.
Absolutely, man. He great.
Hope your mother India'd him right.
We took him to the there was a place in the Merchant City.
Madhow it was called.
It was just off the hook.
Okay.
Good, man.
It was
left
really good.
card. Yeah.
Well, we were in that part of town. It was just like 11 p.m. You know,
he
like
needed it.
we got to get food now.
Yeah.
Where's open now? You know, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
You know,
it was cool. It was a great.
Did he
night,
lap up a Glasgow curry? Yeah.
Yeah, man. He did die.
I think when Paul first picked him up, his first request was fish and chips. That was the first thing I wanted.
Enough.
I was like,
off the plane to the chippy.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're good.
Bottle iron brew.
I can understand that.
Absolutely. Welcome home.
Aye, totally.
You're one of us.
Yeah, they love fish and chips. Is he American? Yeah?
Yes, he is.
Fish and chips.
Yeah, man. We used to take them. There was a great curry house. It was on the end of Commerce Street, which was if we'd done a clinic in the shop, they were open at like 3 a.m. It was great, man. Like
perfect.
I used to play Bollywood movies and all sorts of weirdness, man. It was really random, but it was great, you know.
Yeah,
it was great. But yeah, Starstruck, man. This is the place for it. We've seen a lot of people come through, you know. We've seen a lot of people come through. So
I love that story about the guy that runs the rehearsal room in Glasgow.
Stevie.
Is it Stevie?
Is it Berkeley you're talking about?
Yeah. It's quite. Yeah. I know. I can picture. I think it's Stevie. When Beyonce was rehearsing,
right?
And Beyonce was getting a square sausage roll out the front.
Brilliant.
Love that. Do you know that story?
I don't know that.
Apparently, she was playing at the Hydro, the SECC. This is about 10
she
years
booked
ago.
out the whole place or something.
She booked out the whole thing and was apparently rehearsing the band after the show. So they do the show and then rehearse.
Right.
What?
She was like really on it. You know what Beyonce's like.
Super on it. Yeah.
So apparently that's what they were doing, and she had a square sausage roll in the morning.
Right. Brown sauce or tomato sauce.
This guy Stevie told me.
Brown sauce, aye.
I know, Ridder Brown.
Ridder Brown.
What you having, Beyonce? Ridder Brown.
You imagine the guy in the roll shop as she walked in. All right, hen.
I'd like to think they wouldn't know who she was.
Brilliant.
Man.
But
That's
I heard
tremendous.
that about her rehearsing in Glasgow.
Amazing.
Sorry, that's just so good. I love
that place, Berkeley. You know.
Aye. My wife was rehearsing with a band one night and she walked into Lionel Richie's rehearsal room.
Right.
Because they had a sort of every Monday night they were in the same room. So she just swaggers in.
Oh, her band.
Aye, her band.
Not Lionel.
No. No. He was every Tuesday. No.
I didn't know he lived in Glasgow.
So she just stoats in like, all right, like, and he's got the hood up and the security are like, what are you doing? Guess I'm in the wrong room. Shut the door and away she went, you know. Like,
classic, yeah.
What else you gonna do, you know? What else you gonna do? Brilliant. Awesome. Have you got any more?
No, just where can people find you online, John?
Sometimes I'm on online. I have a website that I need to update, and I do have an Instagram that people can message me on. I love meeting people on that. It's quite cool. It's been great for touring, you know.
Uh-huh.
So that is John Blease Drums.
Right,
Sweet.
okay,
We'll link it in the show notes.
Yeah,
won't we?
we'll be sure to link that on your Instagram page and
All right.
a couple of videos and all that.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, John.
Thank you for
It's
asking me,
been
and I'm
great to see you again.
I know we've tried to do it for a wee while,
Yeah.
and I'm not up here that often, but
No, but
here we are.
yeah,
Here we
appreciate it, man, and enjoy the rest of your time at home. And
Thank you.
no doubt we'll catch you soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
stay
Cheers,
safe
guys.
as well.
Cheers, John.
Yeah, stay safe.